am I done? Because I hit this certain age, and it was a big age. And he goes, no, I want you to be the new VP of the company. All right, then. I don't care how old you are. If you're 16 or if you're 66, you can learn something from the geniuses that have gone on before you. And that's my goal, is to learn something every day. In negotiation, I'm negotiating for a relationship with that customer that will transcend the transaction.
Hey, Jim, how's your Tuesday going?
It's excellent, James. It's excellent. We've had a great week last week and a great weekend. We're ready to start and get some things done this week.
Yeah, now you and I recently connected and we talked a lot about what was going on in our professional lives, getting to know each other a little bit. And then as part of that conversation, I realized, wow, you got too much knowledge in that head of yours to not speak to our audience here. So we jumped on and booked some time together. And I just want to kind of give you the platform first to tell a little bit of your story. So why don't you tell us a little bit of the professional side of things first? And then as we navigate, maybe some connection back to your personal life as well. Because I know you've traveled around the United States. You've lived in different places. You've got two wonderful boys and their families and the dogs and the pets and everything else. So we can talk about that. But yeah, why don't we start there? Tell us a little bit about the professional journey.
Well, I appreciate that. And so I started out life, a graduate engineer, University of Missouri at Rolla. Started with Trane Company. Trane is a manufacturer of heating air conditioning equipment. And James, here's one of those little things that made a giant difference. I'm walking through the hall where they interview prospective students, and this was in the 70s, okay? There was a recession going on. Nobody was there. Walked up to a guy from Trane, and I said, hey, are you talking to anybody? He goes, no, I'm not. So we shook hands, and I noticed on his ring, it had TKE, Teak. That's a fraternity I'm in. And I slipped in the secret grip. And he looked at me, and he says, are you a brother? I said, yes, I am. And he says, then we need to talk. And James, I don't want to make too much out of that. However, that got me into a position to talk to him. And I ended up getting an offer 8 months before I graduated. I mean, I was very good and feeling good about myself, and it took all the pressure off. So that's one of those little things that happen sometime in life. You go, wow, that maybe that started the whole direction. I'm going to call it that way. Ended up having 2 or 3 positions with Trane. Ended up in Phoenix, Arizona, running a Trane sales office. Did that for a number of years. American Standard bought Trane, just wasn't the same place to work anymore. I joined a mechanical contractor. And again, how did I get that connection? It's one of my customers. And I had a customer connection because a couple of those guys went to a big church that I went to. So we had a connection past business, and they invited me to come aboard, and I became president of that company, ran it for about 6 years. We got involved in some really great, fantastic projects, cogeneration projects, ice storage projects, total energy plants. So that was a fun time. They were purchased by a conglomerate out of New York, JWP, Jamaica Water Power, a utility-backed conglomerate. Didn't go so well, washed up on the beach, belly up. I bought a small company, ran it for a couple of years, sold it, joined a friend of mine, ended up staying there 9 years. And at the end of that 9 years, I said, I want to be a partner. And he said, no, I got 3 sons. You're not one of them. So you're going to have to find something else. And so I started my own consulting business, Sales Improvement Professionals Incorporated. Did that for 20 years. And I think I shared this with you, but this is pretty neat. I'm in Fresno, California, talking to a customer, and he's thumping me in the chest, going, you're going to do this. You're going to do this. You're going to do this. And I'm going, hey, number one, put that finger down and stop thumping me in the chest with it. And number two words that are really important, independent consultant. I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do and when I'm going to do it and how I'm going to do it. And he goes, nope, you're mine. I bought you for the week. And I go, okay, tear up that invoice and just shred it because I am leaving the building now. And I did. I walked out. First time I ever done that, James. I can't remember ever in 20 years walking away from a customer. Now, my wife and I have been married 54 years this year. Okay.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Pretty good run. Cakewalk for me, 20 miles of bad road for her. But that's another seminar completely, James, if you want to do that seminar. So I go home to help her, okay? She's run the house by herself for 20 years. And about 2 months into it, she goes, I think there's an opportunity here for us. So, okay, what would that opportunity be? She goes, you're driving me crazy. You're getting the wrong cheese. I don't drink that milk. So I love you. I love you and I married you for life, but not for lunch. So find somebody else to go talk to. And so I called up this group, Service Nation, right here in lovely, they're in Irving, Texas, suburb of Dallas. I've done a consulting project with them every year for the last 20 years. And so I knew them and I said, hey, I'm ready to fire up my consulting business again. And they said, oh, your future is mighty bright. And they invited me to join them as an employee. And I said, here's the problem with that. We've talked about this 4 or 5 times in the past. And every time I say, well, here's the kind of number I need. And they have to go, oh, we can't pay that. You're too rich for our purse strings. Okay. So I said the same thing again to the VP that was talking to me. And he goes, try me. So I gave him a number. James, I gave him a number that was a very good number. It was one of the best numbers I'd ever had in my life. And he didn't even blink. He said, no problem. And I'm, shucks. left 20 grand on the table, but it was fair to him, fair to me. And that's the message I want to share. It was fair to him and fair to me, and I love what I'm doing. I came in as vertical market manager, HVAC. About a year and a half later, almost 2 years ago now, I was at a meeting, and the president comes up behind me, and he says, hey, I need 30 minutes with you alone. And the guy standing next to me said, oh, that's not a good conversation. You're going to regret that conversation. I don't know. So we're driving back to the airport. I said to the president, I said, so are we done? He goes, yeah, we're finished. We're heading back to Dallas. I said, no, am I done? Because I hit this certain age, and it was a big age. And he goes, no, I want you to be the new VP of the company. All right, then. Here's what pilots say, James. Pilots say, I've got runway left. So my wife was with me on the trip. We celebrated, had a great meal and an evening, and I'm doing what I love to do. And I'm called on to help customers improve their businesses. So we are consultants to the heating, air conditioning, plumbing industries. And literally, the guy coming to your house to fix a water heater. He knows how to fix a water heater. He doesn't know how to read a P&L. He doesn't know how to read a balance sheet. Doesn't know whether to amortize a truck, pay cash for him, get a loan. He doesn't understand the business. That's what we bring to the table. We bring business sense to the table. 5,000 members all across the globe, really. We've got members in Australia, Guam, got one guy in the Bahamas. Wow. But he's in the Bahamas and he's connected up with us electronically. Yeah. So we are having fun.
So let's jump in because you and I spoke last week and there's loads of things you said there. So thank you first. Thank you for the story. I got some skills and some value that you bring, and I want to dive into those in this conversation today. Right now, at the beginning, I want to talk to this Service Nation client, the people you work with. Perhaps give us a description of the ideal member that you call them. You and I talked last week also is that it's not a one size fits all. You have custom plans, levels for people to be involved with your business. So perhaps tell us a little bit about Service Nation, how it operates. And then, give us a call to action. What do people need to do? Is it your email address? Is it a telephone number? Is it a website?
So we have programs and tools that can help scale the business. Our mission statement is to help the contractor improve his life, period.
Let's say that one more time, because
help the contractor.
This video is if you are a service contractor and you run a business, it's a plumbing business, a heating business, it could be anything that maybe goes to residential property, could be to commercial territories. Listen up. This is for you. Say it again. Say it one more time.
Our goal, our mission statement is to help improve your life in a general sense. What does that mean? Well, we can improve your business. And literally, once you improve the business, you improve their chance to have a legacy, to have something that's sustainable. And it might be that they keep the business and pass it to their sons, their daughters. Might be they sell it to a family member. It might be they sell it to employees. They might sell out to private equity. There's all kinds of ways that can happen. We can help with all that. So that's our goal, is to help our members improve their business. Now, you asked about the sweet spot. The sweet spot for us is the guys that are, to be clear, we have programs from anything from a guy doing $250,000 a year to $250 million a year. And that's we got some of the biggest guys on the planet in our program. But we've got 6 different levels of membership, and literally there's a fee attached to the memberships, except for the first one. The first level is our association level, which is PHCC and ACA are two industry groups that support the trades. And if you're a member of them, you're automatically a member of us. And you get some benefits of that. But then you move up quickly. And when you move up, you get to a point where you're starting to pay for the memberships, but you get a rebate from our rewards partners. We have 150 rewards partners, meaning people like Home Depot. Home Depot says, yeah, if you buy from Home Depot and you're a registered member with us, you're going to get a few percentage points back on that purchase. Well, I can tell you, in my own case, I bought $480 worth of stuff at Home Depot last year. I got back $24. And I'm going, I didn't know I spent $480 at Home Depot. And that's true with almost everybody we talk to. So you get a percentage back. And literally, in every case, our average rebates more than pay for the membership. In some cases, it's 3 or 4x. Some cases, you could have an investment of $200 and get back $4,700.
Here's a key thing, right? In the US, businesses are making $1 million a year. It's about the top 5%.
Is that right? I didn't know.
Very few of them, right? People who make 10 million a year in the United States, there's only about 1% of every company. As one of my friends, Jay, says to me, who's the biggest employer in the United States? And it was a trick question because I said Walmart, and he said, which is right if you talk about an entity. But the biggest employer in the United States are you guys, you service contractors. The small, medium business in the United States is the biggest employer. Most people, when they go to work for a small, medium business, and that business does not make $1 million a year. It's a few $100,000. Exactly. It's a family-owned thing. And I think this is crucial because the things you're talking about the rebates and people getting money back in their pockets, it's vital they hear you're in the market. You're not out of the market because you just heard $250 million. You're very much in this is driving. I've even heard Joe Biden and Donald Trump say this before. Small business drives America. And that's
I believe that.
Yeah.
I think you're exactly right. And James, I want to be clear. We're not saying you have to be 5 million, 10 million, 20 million. It's up to you personally, your company. Well, I've got a couple of friends of mine one of them's got 2 boys still in high school, and his goal was to attend every single soccer game, every single baseball game that they went to all year long. And he did that. Now his business was maybe $600,000-700,000 a year, and he said, that's all it's going to be. I don't trust anybody else to do the work. I'm going to do it personally, but I'm going to have my afternoons free. And James, this is a poignant moment, but I guarantee you this. I know this. I've talked with him in the last 2 years. One boy went to Stanford on a baseball scholarship, okay, full scholarship. Is that because his father went there to baseball? I don't know, but that's kind of neat, isn't it? And he designed his business around that. So we're not saying you got to be huge or even monstrous. It just whatever number you want to hit, we'll help you hit it, and then we'll help you hold it and do a good job, even when.
I think that's it. You're at the one point of we're going to be here to help you on the skills and the services that you do not excel at.
There it is.
And we're going to give you access to that so we can take care of it on your behalf. And in the interim, any membership fees that you pay, you're going to get rebates that are going to be able to help you navigate. All right. So we're going to put Jim's email in below. So take a look in the description, and that's how you're going to reach out to Jim. And then what's the website or web link that somebody can come and check out Service Nation? Where do they go for that?
ServiceNation.com. You can go there and you'll see some things. But to be candid, it's a password protected website. So you can't get into it very far. You can get in and see something on the surface, but you can't get into it and really see the meat and potatoes unless
and I'm talking to 2 different markets when I say that, and that's to help you. There's some people who don't know they have a problem yet.
Yeah.
If you don't know you have a problem yet and you're watching this, go to the website and then you'll find out you might have a problem. And if you don't have a problem, then that's good. Go on your merry way.
Hallelujah. Yeah.
The other half, the people are going to email Jim. You're the ones who know you have a problem.
Yeah.
You need to talk about a solution, and Jim's your guy. Let's reach out.
And if they call, or you can call me, my cell phone number will be on there as well. You can call or text me or email me, and I'll be glad to give you a walk through the website and show you what we can do. And we've got programs, like I said, that fits any level of business.
And there's one more group of people watching this. If you know somebody in your family or is a close friend of yours who is a service contractor, I want to make sure that you send them this video, even if they don't watch the rest of it, because what you just saw in the front end is the thing that's going to give them the freedom and the fulfillment and the meaning in their life that they're seeking, and you owe it to them to give them the service and let them know. All right, well, let's jump back to you, because I want to talk a little bit about you and also some of the advisory, because we've talked about Service Nation, and I think some of the things on your journey there, we heard from you as the salesperson, the entrepreneur, you've been a consultant, you're really a coach, and you've been a trainer in the past as well.
Absolutely. Yep.
And I think what I heard from all that is a lot of, you got to go on your journey. As you were telling your story, it really came across as a journey. And we'll talk about some skill stuff that you mentioned as well. You talked about negotiation and consistency. We'll come back to that. But tell us your perspectives to help the career professional, the business owner. How do they need to think about their journey? And what would your advice be about some of the things that you've experienced?
So, James, here's the concept that I hold dearly. School is never out for the professional. I just bought from a billionaire a package of training materials based on Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich, okay? The guy bought the original Think and Grow Rich manuscript with notes on the edge for $1.5 million. He added another $1 million to it and bought 2 other non-published books that Napoleon Hill had written. So I bought these thinking, well, I've heard it, I've got it on audio. Now I want to read it and really soak into it. James, I don't care how old you are. If you're 16 or if you're 66, you can learn something from the geniuses that have gone on before you. And that's my goal, is to learn something every day and not be stagnant. Man, I want to be effective and be able to help people no matter where they are on the journey. And so we thank you for bringing out the fact that I do have a coach's mindset. I want to help coach them to wherever they want to go. If they want to retire early, we can help with that. If they want to stay and continue to deliver value, we can help with that. We've got all kinds of programs. The school's never out.
I love it. Yeah. You make me think of Michelangelo. He had lots of different quotes. And I've learned a lot about Michelangelo recently that I didn't know, is that, this guy was stealing bodies and studying them so he could become a great sculptor. It's got a fascinating story. That's not why I'm bringing it up. I'm bringing it up.
Look that up.
A quote he said at age 85, and he died at 87. But aged 85, he said, very simply, I'm still learning.
Oh, man.
And he was 85 years old. And so this is Michelangelo. So you and Michelangelo are 2 peas in a pod. I think that's extremely valuable. Okay, so learning's one, but there were some other things you talked about. I like this consciousness around coincidence. There were a number of things in your story about coincidence. How do you see coincidence? There was the story with the gentleman with the ring. There's the I'm walking, the guy telling you, I own you. Tell us a little bit about your experiences with coincidence and how people should be reflecting on that for their small business or whether their career journey, wherever they are.
So I believe you've got to be ready for life to happen. And you got to be ready in a couple of ways. Number one, for the unexpected. And who could have forecast that we had a pandemic coming in 2018 or 19? Nobody. But what happened during the pandemic? Well, James, I don't want to go Oprah on you, but let me just tell you, for the heating, air conditioning, plumbing industry, it was amazing, my friend. We ended up growing 30-40% a year. Now, where are you going to find those people? Oh, you've got to be on your game. You've got to be really good to find people who want to come in and work with the trades. James, everybody, if you're a 26-year-old, what do you want to do? You want to sit at a computer, right? You don't want to go in an attic and look at ductwork and crawl space and look at the pipes under the double wides. You want to do something with your hands. However, the money is really good in the trades, and you don't have to have a college degree. So be prepared. That's my first message to you. You got to be prepared for no matter what's going to happen, because it will not be predictable. I'll guarantee you that. And then you got to be prepared for those occasional little things that happen and you go, wow, that's a blessing. That's something pretty neat. And you might call it a coincidence. You might call it your version of God working in our lives. Whatever it is, it's pretty neat, my friend. And the best illustration I have, and I think I shared this with you, fraternity brother and I, we met a couple of ladies at a restaurant when I was going to University of Missouri at Rolla, and we decided, well, let's go ask them out for a date. And as we're walking up to the door, my fraternity brother cut in front of me and picked the one with the long hair, and that was my first choice. I'm thinking, I like the one with long hair. he took her right out from under me. And I'm going, well, okay, but that started a relationship with my wife, who at that time had short hair. And we both saw something in each other that we admired and loved and cherished. And that was 55 years ago, married 54 years. So you can call it a coincidence if you want. You can call it whatever you want, but be prepared and be on the lookout for them. And what I'm doing, James, I'm expecting it to happen. I'm counting on something happen that I didn't plan on in a positive way. And then celebrate.
Yeah, I get that from you. And it was one of the reasons I said just last week, and maybe I'll make you blush a little bit, but let me tell you about you. You're one of the most interesting characters from an integrity standpoint, because you have not deviated one iota from story. You've not given me any reason to doubt anything. So as you say you do, as you think you do, I know you're a man of integrity, and that's impressed me. And I said this to you last week, you're incredibly consistent in your communication and the way you tell the stories and the way we've had a lot of fun, actually, everybody.
Yeah.
So a couple of things I want to talk about then. So one is consistency, but before you talk about consistency as a topic and why that's important, because I think it oozes from you. Let's go to the story about the blessing of your wife there. And what do you think about the power of connection? You talked about positively expecting things to happen, but clearly the arrival of your then girlfriend to be fiance to be wife, that connection, how does that connection then, or how are your views of relationships shifted maybe from that moment to where you find yourself now? Tell us a little bit about the power of connection.
James, so I'm a student of DISC, D-I-S-C, which is a personality environment. And so
I'm a driver. I'm a D driver.
Well, I'm a smaller D, but a high I, 99 I. And I'm not much on the S and the C. My wife is the S and the C. And they tell you that opposites attract. I don't know if that's always true or not, but I can tell you in my case, I depend on her to rein me in every now and then, okay? And to go, hey, hold on there. We're not doing that right now. Okay, I just thought it was a good idea. No, it's a terrible idea. And then occasionally I'll be able to say, hey, this needs our full attention. And we need this because this is critical to what the next decade's going to happen. And it usually involves family. And so we are big on family, James. That's one of the most important things in our lives, is making sure that grandson is properly nourished, and he is. He's 21 now. If you told me 2 or 3 decades ago I'd have 2 boys that are both successful and doing what they want to do and love what they do, and then I'd have a grandson who's doing what he wants to do, I'd go, that, you know what? I don't know. You've been drinking the different things than I have, because I'm not seeing that. It happened. And so it's one of those positive things that happened. And I'm going to relish this moment forever. And we've got my youngest son is in a relationship with a woman who is far above any of us ever anticipated. And the same with my older son in Colorado. He's got a beautiful wife that just appeared out of nowhere. And so how those things happen, I don't know. But I'm going to nourish them and value them and keep on waiting for them to happen. So, and like my own career thing, I fired most of my consulting customers in 2008. 2008, the real estate market in Phoenix, Arizona had crumbled and crashed. We moved to Colorado. I'm up in Colorado doing a lot of work for a solar company and a Carrier corporation, Carrier, the heating and air conditioning people. And both at the same time, they both decided to go all virtual with their training. Well, I've done some virtual training. It's not nearly as good as what it's live is what I do. I do live, and I still do live today. Not saying you can't do virtual, but it just doesn't have the same belly to belly is how it's some of these talents and skills are transferred best. So I'm sitting there in the office. My wife comes up behind me and says, yeah, you're quiet. You're never quiet. And I go, yeah, I just fired 85% of our business. And he says, what's plan B? I said, I don't know. I don't have it yet. But today we're going to start praying. And again, James, this might be too much information for you. You can cut this out if you have to cut it out, but I'm going to tell you exactly what happened. I got a call that weekend from a guy saying, hey, I got 3 consultants. I need 4. Are you busy? No, I'm very unbusy. And we connected up instantly. And it was that good. I'm feeling good about this. It's one of the unexpected joys of my life. So I don't know if it's where you wanted to go with all that or not.
You dropped these bombs, and I don't, how valuable they are, So the
Ah,
first one is marry well, and you've been able to
yes.
institute that into your two sons. So they did that. So give that a thumbs up. And then something you said there about our growth and our ability to progress faster is when we are able to get out of our own self-perception and
Yep.
listen to the perspective of others. And I love how you were telling us there about your wife kind of saying, "Hey, she's reeling you
Right.
back in."
That's
And
right.
I
Reel
think
it back in.
that's really powerful. All right, so that's connection and the
Sure.
value of relationships. Listen up,
Good.
people. If you didn't get the messages, go rewind that last 5 minutes and replay that again. If you're the career professional or business owner and you need help just to move you from a point of lacking focus, feeling undervalued, maybe underserved, I would love to speak with you for an intro call. So we have 30 minutes together. There is a link down in the description where you can book a call with me and we can get to know each other and learn a little bit more about your challenges and your desired reality. I can't wait to hear from you. Let's get back to the video. Let's
Good.
talk about consistency and the role that's played, because your middle name, I think you're Jim Consistent Hinshaw here. So why don't you tell us a little bit about what that's meant to you, and why do you think that's such a superpower of yours?
James, I believe that in life, we have a destiny hidden inside us sometimes. Sometimes it's really small and it's trying hard to get out and we fight it. But I do believe there's a destiny in us, and my destiny is to be an encourager, meaning when I come, if I'm traveling, and I'm on the airplane and somebody's walking down the aisle and it's a child, I always look down at their feet and say, "Hey, nice shoes," and they instantly perk up, and their mom goes, "Tell them thank you," blah 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 blah, and so. And then I'll compliment them on a jacket or something. If I'm in a mall, I do it in a mall too. It drives my wife crazy. She goes, they're going to wonder about you. They're going to lock you. No, I'm not a weirdo. I'm just saying, hey, nice shoes to a 3-year-old, 2-year-old even. And it makes a difference. So I'm an encourager, and that's my job. And when I came into this company, they said, "We want you in the building because we need your enthusiasm and that encouragement spirit that you have." And so I'm not fighting that. I'm going to go ahead and roll with that. And I need to be consistent. When I get up in the morning, I believe me, like everybody else on the planet, has a choice on how the day is going to go. I say it's going to go well today. I'm going to have a surprise today, a pleasant surprise, and I'll find some business that I didn't expect to find, and I'll find a relationship like you. When you called me and said, "Hey, do you want to, let's talk about this?" I'm going, "Okay." And James, probably, it's not every week, but it's at least several times a month, somebody from LinkedIn connects up. "Hey, I'd like to talk to you, but they're all trying to sell me stuff." Okay. And I understand that. You weren't. You were a breath of fresh air saying, "Hey, I'd just like to talk with you and see if there's a connection." And then when it was, you go, "Wow, I'd like you to be on my podcast," which is a blessing to me. So
It matters more to me that we find a service contractor who finds you.
oh, I'm all for that.
Because you said that about encourager, and we shared this last week. You didn't know this about me, is that my primary hashtag or kind of thing that I do, that my life is entirely encourage. That's it. If somebody puts a comment on my posts, I just send them a hashtag, encourage, thank you, clap my hands for them, just say thank you for commenting, because you didn't have to comment. A lot of people don't like, they don't share, they don't comment, but the people who do, I always encourage them back. And then I'll go and connect with them. If I'm not connected, I'll send them a message of encouragement, a video, a free resource, because what I care about is that how are they paying that forward? Who are they helping? Who are they motivating? And I think it is about relationships that where you can inspire and energize people. Oh, yeah, you just made me think of this. So I'll say this and stop talking, because this is your interview, not mine.
That's all right.
But there's a chap called Dennis Waitley. I admire greatly. He's a behavioral psychologist.
I know Dennis. Yeah.
Phenomenal audio materials. But he has this phrase, the power of positive expectancy. And what you just described there, but when you wake up every day, you are living by the power of positive expectancy, meaning you're choosing to see the good things. The pleasant surprises will come. And I'm glad to be a pleasant surprise. So that feels good to me.
You are.
And but yeah, your story of consistency is powerful. And so for those people watching, no matter where you are, I heard this from one of my bosses once. He was my boss's boss, and he'd said to my boss, "Can James just be more consistent?" So in those days, I was all over the map. And then, Okay,
I
let's
like
get
it.
back.
I like it.
Let's get back to the story here. So I was grateful to hear that when I was younger. That's like 15 years ago, but
Yeah,
incredible, valuable
good.
leadership. Somebody to point that out and to say,
Perfect.
Be consistent." Yeah.
Talk about consistency. So I'm in Rotary, and Rotary is it's a nonprofit organization, and the original intent was to wipe out polio across the world. We've got it down to just two countries. I think it's still found in Afghanistan and maybe another country in that part of the world. And literally, we're down to just maybe a handful of cases. Every now and then, somebody come by, "Hey, what's your job in Rotary?" "Oh, I didn't know I had to have a job. It's a great place to have breakfast. It's near my house. So no, you got to have a job." So I'm part of the FOR, Family of Rotary. When somebody has a prayer request, they post it, we pray for them. When somebody has a baby, we gather up some a meal train to bring meals to the house. If they're in the hospital, we go figure out a way to visit them. We got a lady right now who's having a knee replaced. She's a single mom, her and her young daughter. She fell and busted up her knee. We're doing meals and sending things to her to encourage her. So that's consistent. I believe you got to have it in all parts of your life. You can't just restrict it to the job or the baseball team your son's on or some segment. You got to be consistent throughout your life.
Well, you're drifting into community. So we got a ton of C words in this interview. So we had coincidence, we had connection, we've got consistency, and here we are in community.
Mm-hmm.
Well, tell us about community, because this is clearly now a big part of your life that I didn't necessarily know about, because we didn't talk about this in depth last week when you and I spoke offline and in the green room before this. So tell us about your perspectives of community and why that's vital for your life and others.
Yeah, James, this is a message that I deliver to our members all the time. You got to give back. The industry is a great industry to be in, and I think we bring value to the table. However, it's part of that responsibility is to give back to that community. We've got members that literally, one of them in Granbury, Texas, okay, a suburb of Dallas. You know what Granbury is.
Yes, yeah.
So this member bought a business that he couldn't afford, okay? And I mean, he spent 7 digits buying a business that had just about zero net worth, but he did it on a wing and a prayer. And I say a wing and a prayer. I mean, he went out there, and I'm going to tell you too much now, but he prayed, "God, please bless this business." And he said that God responded to him and said, "What are you going to do for me?" He goes, "Oh, I didn't know it was a two-way conversation." "Yes, it is." So he said, "Here's what I'll do." He's in Granbury. He said, "If a widow comes across and needs help with her heating and air conditioner or plumbing system, I'll do it at no charge." Called it the Widows Club. Wow. And mentally, I'm pretty sure he's a smart guy, and he's going, Granbury, Texas. How many widows could there be in Granbury? Well, about 4 years later, he had a luncheon at Thanksgiving for the widows. They had 180 widows come to the luncheon. 180. Okay, I don't know if you figure that out. You can't have that at your office. They had to rent a hall, a big hall, and have it catered, thousands of dollars. And I'm going, wow. And he said, "We've never advertised it." And the other thing they do a calendar. All the service technicians do a calendar dressed up as some kind of a movie star. So they got a James Bond guy. They got a guy that's a World War II veteran. They got Lindbergh. I mean, they got this props and everything, and they sign the calendar. And then they give the calendar to the ladies that they've serviced over the years. And it's just, oh man, I'm telling you, it's so good when stuff like that happens. We've got another member that's got 2 of his employees have passed, and it's on his website. On his website. And he says, "Well, we're honoring their presence." And people would say, "Hey, I know her. She did all the service agreements." He goes, "Yeah. Well, I'd like to do something for her memory." "Well, what?" So he started posting a charity. And he said, "Every year we vote on the charity. It might be Red Cross. It might be cancer. It might be homeless animals, all kinds of things. And people vote which charity they want. And then he gives literally tens of thousands of dollars every year to that charity in the name of those people that have passed. So, James, there's so many ways that a guy could give back, but I feel and you'll be rewarded for that. People like that.
There's a book by a gentleman called Joe Polish called Life Gives to the Giver. And in that book, he talks about statistics of
Yep.
how many givers there are. Yeah, and the sad fact is, only 1 in 4 of us is giving. And the others, whether well, depends on your definition, but the others are takers. 1 in 4 are taking, and then this middle group of people who are operating on a transactional basis. They sometimes call them matchers. They won't do anything unless there's something in it for them.
Okay. Yeah.
I've really, since reading that book and then another book he wrote called What's in It for Them, I've really shifted to, you kind of plays to what you've said to me here, is that I just spend most of my time now just giving as much value as I possibly can to as many people as I possibly can. And some people who can do that on a small basis for 20 people closest to them. Yeah. But my view is there's 8 billion of us. If I can reach millions with clear messaging that's going to make a difference, and let's go for that. I want to talk about negotiation. That came up powerfully in the stories of last week, and you shared that story again today. And you said something beautiful earlier in the call. I don't remember exactly how you phrased it, but something about, it was the 20K short of what you could have asked for. And but it was a win for you and it was a win for him. So tell us a little bit about negotiation, how you approach that, and why that's vital for perhaps some of the successes that you've had.
So you've got to figure out what their position is. Okay. Now, if you're talking to somebody and all they want is to squeeze you, and I'll talk about the services. Let's talk about heating, air conditioning, plumbing, contractors. If all they want to do is squeeze you and just milk every single bit of money out of your hide that they can, well, then that's not your customer. What I want to have is a customer that appreciates the value I bring to the table, and I'm going to do a great job of improving their comfort, their health in their home, their business, their office, wherever. Well, you've got to realize that the value you're bringing is part of the package. Here's the human reaction. James, the human reaction when they have to look and make a decision about something that they're not really familiar with, which is typically what the trades are. They go, oh, it's too much. It's a gut reaction. They don't know if it's too much or not enough. They always say it's too much. And so you've got to peel it back. In a negotiation, you cannot take it personally. You got to step back and say, oh, I understand, because I've heard that same phrase in my family before. And I have. But once we figured out what was really coming to the table in terms of value, it's more than just a product. It's more than a service. It's a relationship. I want a relationship with the people that come to my house. We've got a bug guy. Okay, a bug.
The pest control guy. Yeah.
Thank you. A pest control guy, Robert. And literally, guys will come to the front door. We live in the David Weekley subdivision right there in Flower Mound. And guys come all the time knocking on the door. Hey, you want to buy solar? You want to buy this? And my wife goes, no, we've got everything. And the pest control guy comes by. Well, our pest control is better. No, I'm not talking to you. Well, who are you using? And she goes, it doesn't matter. And she doesn't talk to him at all. And she goes, Robert is my guy. And literally, he was on vacation or sick or something happened 2 weeks ago, and he didn't come. And she called the office to say, hey, is he okay? And they go, yeah, he just had a bout with the flu or something. You want Eddie to come? No, I want Robert to come. And so when he comes, he does all the things he's supposed to do, sprays inside, outside, leaves us some of those sticky pads, but he always asks, how are you doing? Everybody okay? Anybody sick? No, good. And that's what I want. And so it's a relationship. So in negotiation, I'm negotiating for a relationship with that customer that will transcend the transaction. James, sometimes we mess up. Okay, I'm just being totally candid. I know it's a shock. Really? You're going to admit that? Yes, I am. And we have stumbled before. And sometimes a member will leave. I keep up with them. And I think of them every now and then. And I'll probably send them typically some kind of an anniversary card or a greeting card or a Christmas card, something to say, hey, I was thinking of you. And I hadn't talked to you in a while. And many times they ping me back and go, yeah, I'm not a member anymore. I know that. I don't care. You're still on the planet, right? You're still you. So I value that relationship more than I do the transaction.
Yeah.
I think people...
I think there's a continuum of commodity up to experience, and what you're describing with Robert and what you're describing with these service clients it's about what kind of experience are you bringing, and then also are you involved and engaged in that experience? Yeah. And adding more value to it. Yeah, I think it's wonderful. So thank you for that. You mentioned about, I got a little bit of Runway. So tell it, because I'll come across people in their 50s and 60s and they're thinking about retirement.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
like, well, did you plan for it? And then they haven't planned for it.
I know.
They thought they'd figure it out later. And so they got to this point where they're 55 to 65,
Yeah.
and they could stop working and they would be okay.
Sure.
But it's not the life or retirement they thought they were going to have, where they were going to be jetting off to Europe and going off to the pickleball tennis courts with their other retired friends and have fun whacking balls at each other.
Yeah.
So they find themselves kind of living on a lower level of life, and things are quiet. So tell us a little bit about your own, this is kind of positive expectancy maybe, but tell us a little bit about your runway and what other people, what's your advice to people in their 50s, 60s, 70s perhaps about what retirement is today?
And so it really depends on your perspective. So I've got a torn rotator cuff, and so I don't golf, I don't fish. Okay. What I do, I write. I got 3 books published. Did I ever send you a copy of my book?
Your writing doesn't hurt your shoulder?
No, not
I'm
at all.
I'm joking.
I like it. You're quick. That's good. And you listen to me. Good.
You didn't? I don't. Did we talk about your book? I think maybe you talked about it, and you were going to send me a copy. Maybe it's in the mail. Is it in the mail?
It is in the mail. I know it's in the mail. Any minute now. It's in
Any minute now. Yeah.
So you got to really define what you want to do with the rest of your life. And so in my case, I'm not a hunter, not a fisherman. I like being around people, and I like talking, and I like socializing. So I want to maximize that. And so I'm able to do that here. And when you end up coming to a point out of frustration where you go, forget it, I'm done, like I did in 2019. I went home and figured out that, wow, it's not all it's cracked up to be, and if you're not careful, you'll get on each other's nerves and so maybe not everybody's going to have that same experience I had. But what I was able to do, coming back, talking about the negotiation again, I talked with the current owners, managers of the business. I said, I want to come back, but I want to do what I want to do. I want to be involved with customers, and I want to be involved with them socially as well as business-wise. My nickname, the meme I have, is Captain Appetizer. So if you're going to dinner, I'm the one that coordinates the dinners. Okay, and I know it's a small thing, but still, it's what I do. And when I ended up sharing that with them, they go, "Oh, that's perfect. We'd love to have that. We need that component to make sure we're touching our members in all areas." We got people that are financial geniuses in the building right now, teaching them financial stuff, and that's good. We've got people that are marketing geniuses. I'm the connected genius that help keep them connected to our company.
Yeah.
And I said, I want to do that, and I want to be able to take my wife whenever. So in February, we had 4 trips that we did together, and she was with me. And sometimes she goes right into the meeting with me. Sometimes, as we were in Charlotte last week, she was at the events with me. She knows the other people. She's amazing around the wives of our members. She really connects up. And I shouldn't say just the wives of our members, because many of the ladies own their own company. So you end up with a great connection, and she loves it, and she's very good at it. So they allow me to take her along, and she's involved. And yes, I'm using air miles to take her on the trips, but still, we're having fun. And James, isn't that what it's all about?
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I'm hearing is that, your perspective about retirement is, well, if you love what you do, you've got a community and you connect with people every single day. Isn't that what you were planning to do?
That is exactly it.
Now you're doing it, and there's still income, and you still get to travel, and she gets to come with you. So it's a wonderful experience. Okay, so I've got a couple more questions for you. All right, so let's talk about your creators, your mentors, the people who advised you. I'd love to know, and hopefully the audience would love to know, who's been your biggest inspiration? And maybe you can give us examples, but maybe what are the 2 or 3 lessons that you have decided these were the most valuable things that I learned, and I stuck to them, and they paid big, for where I find myself now.
First one is a guy named Steve Howard. Steve Howard owns a training company that works specifically with training American Standard. And so we were literally going to church together. And at one point, he worked at train, and I worked at train. And he was in the service department. I was in the sales department. And he said, I'm going to have my own business one day. And I go, yeah, sure. Everybody says that. Nobody does that. Well, he did. And he started a training company. And at one point, to be candid, he ran out of money. And he came back to me, and I was president of a mechanical contractor at the time. So I brought him in as my service manager, and he did that very well. Well, that became a friendship. And so 2 or 3 years later, I'm working in a residential business, and he goes, I do these 4-day boot camps, and I literally run out of steam about the third day. Do you want to do a day or two? I go, love to. That started me in the training industry. And Steve Howard's the guy that got me to do that. And pretty soon I didn't partner with him. He said, I can't have you as a partner because you're going to do work for other manufacturers. And the guys that I do work with wouldn't like that, but I'll make you an associate. And I licensed his material. And I still have that license today. And I still do some stuff that I pay a license fee for. And Steve Howard is the guy that got me into the training industry. And at one point he said, you know what you need to do? I have no idea because I'm new at this. And this was 40 years ago. You need to go with me to Toastmasters. Okay. Have you ever been to a Toastmasters?
Yeah, I've been. Yeah.
Okay, good. It's fun, but it's also in your face.
You get the feedback. You get the feedback right there. Yeah.
Right then, no doubt. You got a clock right there. You got 2 minutes now. Tell us about boom. And it was fun. And I really did enjoy that. We ended up, we ran marathons together, half marathons anyway. So Steve is a lifelong friend, and we still have dinners together and travel a little bit together. But he single-handedly got me out of my shell and got me to think about, well, how could I do a better job of sharing expertise and effectiveness with others? And it's from the front of the room. And so he did that. 2 other people that have stuck out in my mind. The first one is Jim Donnelly Service Center, a company in Phoenix, Arizona that hired me. And I had just sold the company and was kind of looking around, not sure what to do. And he goes, hey, I'd love to have you join me. And we met at a high-end, it's an American restaurant. I'm sure you'll know the name of it, Burger King.
Okay. Oh, yeah, they are the finest burgers in all of America, right there.
I know, it's amazing, right?
Yeah. I don't know where they get that iceberg lettuce, but that's it. Finest.
And the tomatoes are fresh. I know. See, you know them. Well,
yeah, I've been. Yeah, it's high quality.
We met at a Burger King and hashed out some details, and I joined him. Stayed there 9 years. I credit him with teaching me how to do residential sales and installations. And I was VP of sales and installations, and so I learned in many cases the hard way by getting involved in something that we shouldn't have been doing. And then I realized, God, we got to back out of this one. This is not going to go end well. And so he taught me the power of forgiving yourself and also the power of doing what's right. At one point, we put a system in a home and it didn't work. And it was an engineering opportunity. Part of my problem, part of the customer's problem, didn't tell us exactly the truth about the home. He said, give him all his money back. And he said, if you're never going to win an argument. And sure, we could take him to court. He didn't pay the bill. He legally owed us, but don't do that. Give him the money back. Let him go. And we did. Yeah. And James, it felt so uplifting to walk away from that with my head held high and not going, okay, now we're going to take this guy and we're going to take it and get an attorney in here. And you spend 30, 40 grand to collect a $10,000 bill. It's stupid. Our pride sometimes makes us do things like that. And I'm not saying we shouldn't have an attorney involved because sometimes you got to have, but in that case, he taught me the power of forgiving myself for getting involved in a situation that I should have backed out of. And then the founders of Service Nation, Matt Michelle and David Heimer, kept connected to me all the times I was doing my own consulting business. And they said, well, we'd really like to have you in the building. And I go, yeah, we can't do that. And finally they said, yeah, we will do that. And they took a risk on me. And off camera, I'll tell you the risk they took, okay? They said, I'll tell you on camera. Okay. They said, you know what? Because they were owned by a conglomerate at that time. And they went to the conglomerate and the conglomerate said, the guy's too old and you're wanting too much money. And they said, if you don't do this, we're walking. Okay. And they got me in the door. I probably shouldn't have said that, James. You can cut that out if you want to cut that out.
No, it's good. I want you to pay attention to ageism. I think it's still not dealt with. And you are just highlighting that conglomerate we shouldn't really talk about.
No,
But
no.
yeah, I don't want people to be feeling at 50, 60, 70 that you're going to get aged out of something.
There it
You
is.
are if you believe it, and if you're coming up against it, just distance yourself from those folks. Yeah.
There it is. That's it. So I'm glad I said that then, because
Yeah. That's great.
and Matt Michelle and David Heimer still are involved in my inner circle. I still talk to them, go to lunch with them, dinners occasionally. And so they're great people. They've retired and going on to other things. They're doing more things. David Heimer does podcasts, not nearly as well thought of as some.
We all have to start somewhere. So, if we don't start, we'll never know. So we've got to start.
Exactly right.
Yeah, I've got a long way to go on this journey. So I've got lots of runway. Yeah, that's right.
So that's kind of the people that are important in my life.
So let's flip it now. So I want to wrap this up with thinking about what are perhaps the one or two things that you would like your two boys to set as the standard for them, the personal or professional standard for themselves, with everything you know now. They're already successful, because I think you're telling me they're in their 40s now, so they're established in their careers. They've got a lot of, probably 15, 20 years behind them, right?
Yeah.
So what are the one or two things that you would like them to live by?
So, and they've heard me say this: do what you said you're going to do. Do what you said you're going to do. If you're going to be somewhere, be there. And if you're there, be fully engaged. Don't just show up to show up. No, be engaging and be involved, even if it's something that's not pleasant. We all got in these situations where you get involved and it goes, wow, this sucks. And so we want to just walk away, right? Don't do that. You got to see it through and commit to the thing that you said you were going to do, and then do it, and do it well to the best of your ability. Do not shirk that responsibility of saying, I'll give you an example. This is too good not to share.
There we go. This is it. This is the grand finale.
Here it is. Here it is. Okay. My son Mike, working at REI. REI, recreational equipment.
I know REI, yeah.
Yep. Great store. He was there this is in high school, and he's managing a part of the store that took returns back. Okay. And REI is amazing. They'll give you a return if you bought a tent 4 years ago. You can bring it back. Oh, I don't like it, or whatever. You got to have some kind of explanation. Boots that have been worn for 2 years. They brought him back, full credit. He's there in the store, and a new manager came in and said, oh, somebody's skimming, and they're stealing from us. They're taking this stuff back, giving credit, but then they're taking it home. Wow. And so they fired everybody in that return department, including Mike. He comes back home. Now he's in high school. He's 17. And I can clearly remember his lips trembling, telling me, I got fired today. I go, why? Well, they thought I was stealing. And I said, were you stealing? He goes, no. And what he did, without me telling him to do this, he had a record of every return in a binder that he kept and saying, here it is. It's in our inventory. And he said, I can walk back there and show you the boots that 2 years ago the guy brought back. I've got them in inventory. Oh, I said, I'm going to ask you to do something unpleasant, completely unpleasant. Go back down to that store and tell that lady she made a mistake with you. He did. And I told him as he's walking out the door, the only thing we have in life is our name. That's the only thing we really have, right? And I said, you've got a great name. Do not let it be soiled by somebody making a mistake. You go back down there. And he did. He went back down. And the woman, after she saw his book, she apologized and said, I'm so sorry this happened. So I'm going to give you your job back right now. And he goes, no, I don't think I want to work here anymore for somebody that would do that. And he walked out. And so I thanked him again. Good move. You don't want to be there. If they're going to make it. And that is not indicative of REI. We shop at REI today. I've got on shoes right now from REI. So it's a great.
We must add, it sounds like it was also 25 years ago.
Exactly. More like 30.
Yeah, there we go. So everything's changed.
Yeah, for sure. So that's the message I have for my boys, man. It's your name, and you're carrying generations on your shoulder. And so you got to do a great job and deliver. And the second part of do what you said you're going to do. The second part of that message is deliver more than expected. Deliver more.
Yeah.
If you've ever been to New Orleans, they talk about lagniappe. Lagniappe is something extra that's added at the end of the meal. It's an extra little donut or whatever. You don't call them donuts, beignets. It's lagniappe. So add something extra every single transaction. There you go. I don't know if that's what you wanted to hear, but That's
No, it's a ton of leadership advice in there. So tons of things that people can hold on to. Reminder for those people, if you're still here, go to the ServiceNow website if you don't know you have a problem yet. But if you do have a problem, then Jim's details are going to be below. So you'll be able to email him direct, get into a quick conversation, and establish really quickly how ServiceNation can help you. I hope you've enjoyed the show. I've had a great time with Jim. Jim, I'm looking forward to stopping the video right now so we can hang out and chat for a couple of minutes.
perfect. Perfect.
See you, everybody.
Thank you, James.
To check out this next video right here, where you can learn from more entrepreneurs who are teaching you how to do the methods of marketing, lead generation, and growing your business. And I'll see you on the inside.